what's up? This is one of those ones where it isn't scripted because I don't really do when I do scripted things. I just feel like I just speak too. The only way I can describe it is corporate, too sanitized, and it's weird. And I like to do things free form. And yeah, we're talking about Mission Accomplished Limited, based in Birmingham, and there's been some developments. And let me, um, for everyone that doesn't know, Mission Accomplished Limited, they're like what you like they look like a film and like creative media thing. I don't know what to call them. They do a lot of courses, and I applied for an unscripted TV course about back in September, I think. They came back to me. I did the interview, and I remember saying as well. I remember saying to them that right, we're gonna skip because there really wasn't anything that, and I have dyspraxia. I have dyspraxia. You know, I'm not the best at speaking, and especially as well, what I want to call, I really did not get a fair shot with the interview. There was a phone call, wasn't anything, but then there was like a Zoom interview, right? And I thought this was just going to be like a college style interview where it isn't an interview, they're just, talking to you, getting to know you. But this was like a job style interview, right? And a job style interview is just completely like, which I was, what they didn't tell me about, they just said interview. And since the course was like basically like a college style course, I was thinking that this was going to be a college style interview, right? It was a job style interview, and a job style interview is where like they're gauging how like intelligent and how quick and how concisely you respond, and how coherently you speak and all that. What's just unfair, because I have this, dyspraxia, where like job style interviews, I can do them, but obviously, like, how are you going to gauge someone with dyspraxia? Even though there's another thing I want to talk about, why I didn't have it shot anyway. How are you going to gauge someone with dyspraxia in a job style interview setting? Like, how are you supposed to know, like, how smart they sound, how quick, how coherent they are when they literally have a speech impediment? You know, pretty serious. Actually, would I say it's mild? I don't know what you'd get, what you'd say was serious, but it's very obvious that I have it, and it's very obvious to everyone. And I sound like for lack of words, mentally retarded most of the time. I'm always stuttering and stumbling and just like pausing and jittering. And how is it fair that they're giving me like just throwing these if you watch the interview, you see like giving me these questions, right? Well, I think throwing them is a bit of a exaggeration, but giving me all these questions and seeing how quick, like it was unfair, like how like it was completely unfair. And as well, in this country, there's supposed to be a thing called reasonable adjustments, right, for interviews. And I got none of that because I brought it up during the phone call about reasonable adjustments, and I got, for the thing, I got zero, absolutely nothing, nothing adjusted, nothing, you know, it was just completely unfair. And another thing I want to talk about, of course, is that this is based in Birmingham, right? There were four reviewers, if I remember correctly. All four were white women. There were either three or four, all of them white women, regardless. This is in an area of Birmingham that at a serious push is 30% white. So you're telling me that all three, all four are white. They're supposed to be represent for something like this. They're supposed to represent Birmingham. Birmingham. How are we gonna have four white people judging me? Trying to judge my thing. And I checked their thing as well. Like everyone that works for them is white except for this token black woman, who I assume is just there for them to say, "Hey, we're not racist. We have this one black woman working for us." Like I think I saw about eight of them work for them. eight eight of them plus the one black woman as well. About seven, eight of them. And it's just ridiculous. Like it's obvious that they're give me a minute. just gotta do something. My delivery driver was much quicker than expected. Um, Going back to what I was saying, yeah, it was just like how are these eight white people and one black person representing as well? Like the city is 40, and you gotta remember where they're based as well. What's near the city centre? Like at a serious push, I'd say 30. Even though it's more like 10 to 15% in most of the areas. Maybe there's a little like white enclave somewhere, but there's no way that they're going past 30. Like, and I don't like bring. Oh, but it was very like how. So imagine, right, for the Americans out there, like imagine. What's just people? Well, imagine, right. There's someone like Detroit. Oh, the Laredo, Texas, right? Laredo, Texas, and like all the recruiters there were white except for one. Or Detroit, you got a place like I don't know, like 8 Mile. I don't know. It's the only place in Detroit, 8 Mile, 9 Mile, whatever. Everyone, oh, let's flip it, right? Let's say Burlington, Vermont, right? Imagine a place in Burlington, Vermont, where all the recruiters, except for one token, was black. Or Nashua, actually, Nashua is very diverse. Like Freeport, Maine, and everyone there except for one was like Hispanic. Like I would have issues with that because it doesn't represent the broader demographic of the area. And I will admit, I do. I think it's nice to see but like, I would think it's weird. Like, let's say this country, like, we had Cheshire, like, everyone there was black. I feel like they should have some white people there because Cheshire is a majority white area, and white people, they have like a different viewpoint and have. Like, even though they're gonna have bias towards their own people, at least it cancels out the bias, somewhat. All the recruiters, all the people there, all of them were white in a area of the city that is, like I said, 10 to 15% white. But maybe there's somewhere that's maybe because I have seen white people, but they're like very low amounts. Maybe they're all from the area, and I don't know. Maybe there is like some enclave that's like, but it can't be any more than 30% white. It was just unfair. And when I brought it up as well, they've ignored both my emails. They've blocked both my accounts on TikTok. They've ignored my reviews. They've blocked my Facebook account. So they obviously know about this. And you would think in something like this, you'd say something like even like you'd say, "Hey, this is not true," But instead, like they've just said nothing. They've resorted to blocking all my things, ignoring my emails. So they know about this, and they've just choose to ignore me, block my things. And you find it funny as well. I think the chick sent the email pipe or something. She/her, and these are like. It just goes to show that even like these people who claim to be all progressive and all that are just as racist as the conservatives, reform, whatever. They're worse, honestly. I just think these people that claim to be progressive are much more racist and much more biased than the people who are not. I think I'd have rather had a better shot with like Nigel Farage or Tommy Robinson than I did with these people, man. And then they would probably give it to me straight as well. They would be honest about being, the right wing. They're honest about being right. I'm not right wing by any stretch of the means, but like at least they're honest about being. At least they let you know these people pretend to be all progressive. They pretend to be on your side, whatever. But like they're more racist than anybody. Sure, you don't have to worry about them hanging you from trees and shit, or I will give them credit for, but they're just as racist, when we don't include like race-based violence into it. Just as racist, if not more. Like I said, every time I brought this up, they just blocked all my things, ignored my emails. They know about this. They obviously have something to hide. They obviously like have something that they can't even give me a reason for why they rejected my thing. So it took them 2 days to reject my thing, but it's been about 3 weeks now, and still heard nothing except for the blocking, of course. I do not recommend mission accomplished to anyone, not just black or Asian, but anyone. They're horrible people. If you want something, go to Kidderminster College, go to Southend City, go to Bourneville. You know, I'm pretty sure, yeah, Solihull has a college. Go to Solihull if for all your media stuff. I wouldn't recommend Howe College. Wouldn't recommend it at all. But if you want to go there, go to Howe if that's most convenient. You know, their mission accomplished is absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. Horrible people, horrible practice, very racist. They're obviously very, they don't care. They don't take anything. Well, I've lost my words here. See, this is the thing about dyspraxia. Even though I know what I want to say, I don't know how to say it sometimes. You know, they don't care about your disabilities, anything like that. They're just horrible from these so-called wannabe progressive people. You know, they've got a partnership with like Newcastle Pride. You know, their emails she slash her. Yeah, they don't care about your disability. Made didn't do anything to account for it. You know, hiring their own people except for one token minority, one token ethnic person, so they can obviously, oh, we're not, even though they haven't said anything, they've completely ignored me, blocked all my things. Do not recommend them one bit. A horrible place. Absolutely horrible, horrible, horrible company, horrible people. And that's all I've got to say. Thanks for watching, and that flip I just did was bloody amazing.